Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James and welcome back to the Unity2D tutorial where we're looking at all the necessary aspects that you would need to create your own 2D platformer game. So in today's episode we're going to take a look at the idea of switching from one level to another, because it's not a very fun game if you only got one level to play around in. So we're going to look at creating like a basic jumping from one level to another and creating a basic in-world kind of in-game level select system. Which is pretty simple and pretty easy to use. So if we play our game here we are kind of at the middle of the level or whatever, and as we're going along, kill this guy here, one more, and kind of just come to the end of the level, and that's not used to us. We need something to indicate where the end of the level is. So if we go into our art file that we've been using for everything in the game so far, and we click on Sprite Editor, we have this exit little doorway kind of thing here. So we're going to highlight this as we've done before, and we're going to zoom in just to make sure it's the right size. So I want to capture all the bits, and we'll call this level exit. If I could spell things properly, that would be nice as well. So yeah, we're just going to call that level exit and then hit apply, of course, save all these, and then we'll drop this down, drag our level exit into our world, and we're going to put it down somewhere over here. And to make sure it's like attached to the ground as we've done before, if you hold V, it'll line up to the corners if you move the mouse around. And so if you click on one corner here, drag it down to the ground, now it's touching on the ground perfectly, and it's lined up with one of these blocks. It kind of looks a bit weird lined up one corner on the blocks here, so we'll just drag it over roughly to the middle. That looks kind of okay. So we need this to activate our switching levels. So what we'll do, we'll add a little trigger box to it. So we'll go box collider 2D, and we'll make that a trigger. And if we zoom in here, you can see it's created a little green box. And the idea is that when the player walks into this zone, then you can either have it automatically load level when a player walks into that zone, or what we're going to do is you press a button and it'll load the next level. But we don't want other things to interact with this. So at the moment, we have our projectiles that we fire. And if we kill our enemy here, but if we throw another projectile, it gets destroyed by the exit. That's not what we want to happen. We want the player to be able to like walk through or whatever, and any weapons he fires, it just looks weird if it just gets destroyed at the exit here. So what we're going to do to solve that is we're going to create a new layer for this and for other similar kind of zones where we might want special activities to happen. Like if you want to have a special event be triggered, like I don't know, maybe a massive boulder to drop down and squash the player when he walks into a certain area, you would use zones like this. So we're going to create a new layer. Go here, add layer, and we'll call this trigger zones. I think it's a fairly sensible name. So we go back to our level exit object, and on layer here we'll select trigger zones. But of course the same thing is going to happen now. We haven't changed anything, we've just given it a special name. So we have to go to edit, project settings, and physics 2D, and you have this little matrix of what things collide with each other. So trigger zones at the bottom here and trigger zones across the top. So where trigger zones across and projectiles meets is here. So we'll uncheck that. So now if we play the game again, when we throw our ninja stars, they should just fly straight past. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to happen. So now we need to set up how is the game going to load new levels. We'll need to create a super simple little script. So we'll open our scripts here, and we will create C# script, and we'll call this level loader. Nice and simple. And we'll open this up in MonoDevelop, which I don't have open yet, so it'll take a second to open. Yay! Okay, once it's all loaded up for us here, we're going to need a few kind of items in here. So we're going to need a Boolean state so that we'll know whether the player is in the zone or whether he's out of the zone. So we'll do a private bool, we just call it player in zone. So that's how we know he's in the area that we've created. And then of course we'll need the name of the level that we're going to load. And obviously at the moment we've only got one level in the game. We're going to look at loading different levels after we create our little script here. So public string, and we'll call this level to load. That's a handy little name to remember. Okay, so once the script starts, we will want our player in zone to be false, because obviously the player isn't in the zone at the very start of the thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to check using on trigger enter whether the player is in the zone. So we'll go void, much like we've used before, on trigger enter, and in here we'll say collider 2D other. So that'll find what has entered our collision, our trigger zone. And what we'll say is if other dot name is equal to player. So if the thing that's entered the zone is the player, then we'll put our little curly brackets in. So if the other thing is player, then we know that player in zone is true. So player in zone is equal to true. And almost the exact same as this, we want to find out when the player leaves the zone as well, because we don't, if the player decides to walk to the exit and go, oh actually no, I want to go back and do something different, we don't want them accidentally quitting out of the game, or sorry, not quitting out of the game, but accidentally moving on to the next area. So void, oh no, sorry, what am I doing? What we'll actually just do is copy this whole little section here, pop it there. Instead of on trigger enter, we will have on trigger exit, and player in zone will be false. So now we know when the player enters or exits their zone. So that's perfect. So now in our update loop, we're going to check for whether the player is in the zone and whether a button is pressed for him to exit. So at the moment we're using A and D to move left and right, and you could be using left arrow or right arrow or whatever, but what we're going to do, we're going to use W as our activating the door, so basically by pressing up. So it'd be the same as pressing up on the up arrows or whatever. So what we're going to do is if input dot get key down, and if that is key code, oh not key code, no, I can't spell it all. Key code dot W, and we close that. And so if he presses the W button and also the player in zone is true, so if both of those things are true, then we will go application dot load level, and then in brackets here we will put our string, our name that we've entered for the level to load. We will put in here level to load. Perfect. So application.load, why is, oh, I never did that. There we go. I was wondering why it was coming up red. So application.load level is how you can just immediately load a level. But there's also, you can use, now that Unity 5, all the features that used to be pro only are now free in Unity 5. You can use load level async if you want to. And what that will do is if you want to put up, like, say, a loading screen that has a moving animation in it or anything like that, or you want to play some music continually, that'll allow you to do that. But for our purposes, we don't have any music playing, so we don't really need to worry about anything like that. And load level will just do the job perfectly for us. So there we go. That's our whole little script that we need. Pop back into the game. We'll go to our level exit object, and we will add that onto it once it's finished compiling down here in the corner. Add component, load, oh, can't spell, load our level loader. That was it. So we need to give the name of a level for the game to load. So as a test, for example, we could just try using level 1. That's the name of our scene here. That's the name of our level that we want to load. So say we just want to say reload the player back to the start of this level. So we'll type in level level 1. I just noticed we've got an error down here that I just didn't see. On trigger enter, on trigger exit. Oh, that was stupid. It's not on trigger enter, it's on trigger enter 2D. That's what we want to do. And on trigger exit 2D. So we'll save that again. Let that compile down here in the corner. But yeah, we're going to use our level 1 name.